Hi, my name is Kalle Aerikkala. I want to walk you through today on how you can benefit from pricing by adapting your pricing strategies to economic change and taking benefit changes in globalization and digitalization. I will start with globalization. That used to be a term where you would think it just happens, almost like a force of nature. But in pricing, we always need to dig a bit deeper. So let's take a look what is happening in globalization. If I would pick one metric to represent globalization, I would probably go with trade flows and the latest always seeing the data on exports. We can see that exports or trade flows have been staying flat on average over the last year. Similar story is also being told by some more detailed indicators. As we all know, there are all kinds of trade disruptions happening at the moment. New import tariffs being put in place, logistics being stopped in other places. Together, the big picture and many small indicators give impression that all the globalization that is declining or staying flat. The big question is that will we see a return to earlier, more connected world, or will globalization be truly a thing of the past? So, if we are unsure what will happen with globalization, what should we call the potential alternative? Maybe regionalization. We will see trade inside blocks increasing and trade between them decreasing. I think that's a plausible scenario. Definitely not the only one, perhaps even not the most likely one, but plausible. If we at the same time consider the other half of the equation, digitalization, that is a piece that is pulling to the opposite direction. One of the key impacts of digitalization is making trade easier and more efficient regardless of where the participants of that trade are. So what are the effects of those two opposing forces? Is it nothing? I don't think so, and especially the effect is nothing for pricing. Whenever the trade patterns shift, there are new market entrances and new possibilities to trade. This means new pricing challenges that we need to react to or preferably predict and plan for. This is an additional angle on digitalization. It gives us new possibilities to manage the challenges and opportunities. However you decide to approach this, the most important thing is to have a plan, laying out few most plausible chains of events and planning how your pricing strategy can stay on top of those events. Thinking about those scenarios in different time frames. What are the things that can affect your business and pricing on daily, weekly, monthly level, but then also on long term? What are the fundamental shifts that you need to plan for? This sounds super simple, but there are still many organizations who are only reacting and not planning ahead and trying to predict the chain of events and creating plans to counter them in advance and in a very timely fashion. So, then what does this mean concretely for your pricing strategy? I want to highlight few key areas that you should always include in your plans. When it comes to adapting to changes in the market, first and foremost, you need to consider your pricing processes. How nimble and forward-looking you are. Can you identify and predict changes from your analytics? Will you see early signs and markers that will tell you even though you are not feeling the pain still in your sales and profitability, there are things happening that you need to react to in your pricing? Are you using all possible pricing levers? For example, rebates on top of discounts and list price adjustments to make sure that you are getting the best possible outcome from the market and from your customers. How do you interact with sales? Do you share a common view of the most important improvement topics? Do you agree how big of an impact a volume shift is giving? What kind of a price impact can the market absorb? Can you make changes in your pricing effectively when needed? Have these questions in mind and make sure your pricing process and the pricing levers that you are using does not become the bottleneck when action is needed. Another element that is being brought forward more and more is the connection of your organization's sustainability goals and strategies and pricing. Firstly, the connection between your pricing goals and sustainability goals. Last but not least, your pricing strategy and adaptation plan need to include considerations for your pricing organization. How is your pricing team organized? Consider in which situations you need to adapt the organization and how. For example, if you need to focus more on actual price guidance to sales, it can be best to have the pricing as part of the sales or product organization, opposed to finance or marketing. What this all boils down to. You need to check your pricing progress against your goals frequently to make sure that you are on the right path. Measure those small signals from the market that you need to change your pricing approach to adapt to market changes, or do you need to adjust your organization? Or do you need to introduce new pricing elements to make sure that you remain profitable and keep up with the volume goals that you have defined? On digitalization, it can take many forms. Use it for the greatest impact. Think about which process you need to automate and where you can get benefit from AI. Those are the perfect use cases for digitalization. Make sure that you select the right projects in right order to have the best impact possible. Thank you.